Oh, here, coffee.
Oh, you're one of the few Americans that actually made it over for the AGM.
I know, I wish there were more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, everyone's rattling on about how AI is going to destroy everything, which I don't agree with. I think the unique vision of a photographer can't be replicated. Someone just sent me a book, and they didn't even copy my images. They just put in Martin Parr, AI, and it's a horrible book, in fact, brightly coloured. And the guy wanted me to write a foreword to it, which I flatly refused to do. And the pictures were just horrible, basically. So that gave me a lot of comfort to think, you know, let's actually rely on the individual quirks and vision of interesting photographers, because they come up with things that are unique that cannot really be replicated on AI.
You know, I don't know if this is naive, but I share your feelings about AI. I have no interest in looking at the pictures, learning how to do it. And what interests me about art is like the weird obsessiveness of the maker, like the person. That's what fascinates me. I don't care so much about just the images. It's like, I want to know about the person, what's driving this person to do this thing, and that's what I care about. So for me, if it's made by a computer, I just lose interest. I mean, maybe for advertising.
What about the work of Andres Gursky, for example, all made on a computer?
But it's
overlapping images. Do you dismiss that work?
I mean, I don't personally love it, but I'm fascinated by his like totally German, obsessive, objective aesthetic, and that interests me as a person. Like, who is the person who wanted to make this?
But you don't mind the fact that he's put 100 pictures together to make this one picture?
No, I don't mind.
You don't mind? Okay.
Do you?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I just thought you might be more pure than me.
But no. But it's a person, you know, who's telling the computer to do that.
The same could apply to someone doing AI.
True. I mean, if they use AI in a way that's interesting, I could get behind it.
Well, there will be people that, you know, we're in the early days and it's all rather naive, as I've just explained with my experience. But it will get more sophisticated, obviously, in years to come. And don't forget the medical benefits of AI are already now quite extraordinary. What they can do, like spotting cancer, breast cancer, for example, before it's even evident physically. So that's pretty interesting. So all in all, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. But I mean, Larry, for example, you know, is from the anti-AI stool, and I doubt whether he'd find anything good in it.
Well, I don't think AI should be used for, say, editorial newspaper work. I think that...
Yeah, you can say that, but people will be. So yeah, I used to be, when I gave a talk, oh, how do you get so close to people without them getting annoyed? That's now been overtaken by, what do you think of AI? What do you get when you do a talk?
Oh, what question do I get? I get, how do you make strangers comfortable with the camera?
What do you say?
I never quite know how to answer it, because it's, I feel like there's this thing that happens with people and the chemistry of like interacting that is, it's just a personal thing, you know, how you interact with a stranger, and I don't know if you can fake it, but it's just about being respectful and being yourself, and I don't know, I never know how to answer it.
So you're out on a commission, you're in, say, for example, that country in Latin America you just shot in. You're walking down the street, you see someone you like the look of, do you just stop them? You don't speak Spanish though, right?
No, I don't speak Spanish.
So you got someone with you?
I try it in my broken language, and I think just being like my awkward, earnest self, you know, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but you look amazing, I'd love to take your picture. You know, it's like I'll just be very direct,
so
short and sweet.
Flattery is part of the secret.
Flattery.
Let's face it.
What about you? Well, you sometimes just shoot right before you talk.
Yes, a bit of both really. It depends, you know, when I was working in the Black Country, it was more to do with portraits. Yeah. So yeah, then we would stop people in the street and take pictures of them.
Do you have a little pitch? How do you approach a stranger?
Flattery, of course, is a good starting point. Yeah. You love their blah 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 or blah.
But you really do, I think. Knowing you, I think you love looking at all kinds of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed.
What do I wish I'd known? Maybe how how long it would take before I could make a living. Although Chris Killip, who was my teacher in undergrad, warned me very sternly,
Yes.
you know, and I appreciate it. He was honest. He said, he took me and my father aside. I was graduating, and he said to my dad, he said, "Mr. Halpern, I want you to know what Greg is going to try to do is very hard." And my dad said, I know. And Chris said, "No, Mr. Halpern, you don't know." He said, "What Greg is going to try to do is very, very hard." And my dad, the blood drained from his face. And,
Really?
But I appreciated the honesty. You know, it's very good. But I don't think I still believed him. I thought, I can do this.
Of course, you've proven him wrong.
Well, it took me 20 years, but yeah. What about you?
I don't actually want to have any knowledge that I would get now that I had at the beginning. You know, I like the fact that it's slowly developed. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that, in fact. So I avoid that question.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want it to be any different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me a bit more about the influence that Killip had on you. Did he basically take in this class of non-photographic students? I believe that's the case. And he would get them to do a project. He'd talk about work. And I guess, was it during that process that your interest in photography developed and he spotted it?
You know, Chris was, I wouldn't say he spotted it, because he was not encouraging to me at first at all. You know what, this was very helpful. I remember one summer I got a grant for $1,000, which was very helpful for me at the time to go buy film, and I went home to Buffalo and came back from the summer with all these pictures to show Chris, and I said, "What do you think?" You know, and he just looked at me, goes. I said, "Well, I didn't know what that meant," and I said, "Well, do you like any of them?" And he said,
That's encouraging, isn't it?
"But you know,
I can
Chris."
see how encouraging he was.
But you know, I kept at it. It was like it was somehow it worked for me, because I wanted to make a picture that impressed him. It's perverse, I know, but weirdly, I
when did you
appreciated-
achieve that?
Years later, he told my friend Kit. He said, "Greg is doing some good work, but don't tell him. Don't tell him he's doing some work." And Kit luckily told me. So
Right.
yeah.
The theory being they didn't want it to go to your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was good though, you know, because the photo world is I don't know how you feel about this, but it's not always instantly receptive, and it was helpful for me to know it takes time, you know.
Right.
What would I ask you? I don't know how to. So many things I'd want to ask you. Okay, I mean, this is a Magnum. It's a different beast now than when you were, you know, coming up in the agency, applying. And what
No,
should we,
just
what
so
should we-
people know, you know, the Philip Jones Griffiths led anti-Parr campaign.
Right. Well, a question for you is, so this is an organization, there were 49% or whatever was fighting to keep you out because you weren't pure enough documentarian or something in their eyes. What keeps you so committed to, I mean, you've put your heart and soul into this organization, and you always come back and you always give everything to it. What keeps you,
Well,
what keeps you in?
I basically like it. I like the idea of a cooperative. I like the people who are in it. I've got very good friends within Magnum. And, you know, I appreciate that. And I think it's fantastic that it's photographer-led. I mean, it's got a lot of problems, as we know, but hopefully we'll overcome them. It's a good organization. And, you know, licensing, I want to license my pictures. And, you know, I guess we are very methodical about loading lots of pictures up. High-res files, we've got something like 50,000 on the site now. Wow. All keyworded, all ready to go, basically. So where else could I get that done? That's a very good earner.
Do you put everything you shoot basically onto
more or less, yeah. In fact, I've just been loading snapshots of me as a child because I'm currently writing a biography with a sort of ghostwriter.
Autobiography?
No, because the ghostwriter is writing it. And I'm talking about, it's like 100 pictures that I'm going to be talking about. But what fascinates me, what is it in, you know, because I was with Philip Jones Griffiths and Daniel Meadows. We did a workshop at Lumback. We got on really well, okay? He liked the work. This is all in the black and white period. What is it that triggers people to be so angry about the last resort images? Is something I find quite, you know, difficult to really comprehend. It triggers people in a way that is brutal, really. They erupt, with anger. What do you think it is that triggers this response?
Well, I don't know if it's a bad thing, first of all.
Yeah, that's in the end what I think too.
Yeah, you were smiling when you said that. I mean, I don't know. What do they say? It's they feel it's mean. What do most people say?
I guess, yeah. I mean, people say all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think you're
Fascist.
equal.
Philip, in his famous letter, to the members when I was trying to become a member, I therefore needed the 66%, 2/3 majority. He said, I'm a hand of Thatcher, right? Fascist photographer. I can't remember the exact wording now, but I remember the word fascist. So it was going a bit far, really. Yeah, I mean, it's a form of subversion in a sense, and definitely a critique. But of course, if you're a photographer, you've got to be able to, especially a documentary one, you've got to be able to get on with people, as you have proven, and as Susan has proven many times, and indeed, as I have proven, because unless you like people, why bother? You don't get right-wing photojournalists. Tell me, do you know any?
No, I don't.
Think they exist. I mean, okay, you might get someone working for a right-wing newspaper like the Daily Mail, but for doing their own work, all the photographers that you and I know are from the left, some more left than others, because you've got to like people.
I don't find your pictures mean at all. I mean, they're about life, the joy of life, I think. I sense that you like people.
I do, yeah.
I mean, it's.
I'm glad you spotted that.
I mean, to make a portrait, some people make these portraits where everybody is angelic and beautiful, and that feels false. So to me, it's. And you're equal opportunity in the way that you look at what types of people you look at, and who you have a good, chuckle with. It doesn't feel mean to me.
What's interesting, because you and I know the best portraits are where people are not smiling, okay? Sometimes when I've given people back the pictures of them not smiling, they complain because they're not smiling. But I know it's a better picture. Do you have that issue?
Yeah.
And do you just say, please stop smiling?
I do. I usually take one with the smile.
Right.
Because that's the one that maybe if they want one afterwards, that might be the one they want. And then I say, do you mind if I take one of you without a smile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you just say without a smile? Would you say looking normal or?
Yeah, I say without a smile.
Right.
What do you say?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And then of course we know that especially if it's a portrait of a shopkeeper or a person holding something they're very proud of, that natural, pride and dignity will come through in the picture. Yeah. And that of course is the thing that draws people in.
Well, it is disappointing to me though when I share my pictures with the people who I photographed, because they're I don't think that they're often getting what they wanted. And sometimes it's a bit disappointing, but I think ultimately it doesn't matter. I think it has to be what the photographer wants, even though that sounds cold. If I'm just serving what they want, then it's not what I'm interested in. That sounds harsh.
It's not though, is it? Because you get the better image.
Yeah.
Where your relationship to the person is better amplified.
Yeah. Or they could just
cut.